We return to our coverage of Hope, Florida. The scandal has grown so large it has its own Wikipedia page now. Here's what happened. A multi-state Medicaid provider called Centene overbilled a lot of states. They wanted to resolve their dispute with Florida prior to litigation, so they agreed to pay Florida $67 million. Now, because they're a Medicaid provider, you'd think that $67 million would go to Florida's Medicaid program, but it all didn't. $57 million went to Medicaid, and $10 million was sent to Hope, Florida, the charity closely tied to Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis. New emails released show that the Medicaid provider, Centene, was basically paying Governor DeSantis' wife's charity with a gun to their head. They did not want to make this payment to Hope, Florida, and included language in multiple drafts to make clear that they were doing this because the governor of Florida, through his agencies, was demanding it. They gave a statement to our show to that exact effect. It seems the Florida Inspector General wanted no part of this sleazy transaction that looks a lot like money laundering. They were taken off the settlement because it was looking less like a settlement and more like a shakedown for other purposes. In September, the Medicaid provider wrote to the state, quote, "As stated above, we would like the Florida Office of Inspector General to be explicitly listed. Can you explain the reason for the removal? Even if this language is removed, we understand that the subsequent language, including all other State Department, division, agencies, bureaus, plans, and/or programs of the state of Florida, includes the Office of the Inspector General. We would expect an email exchange confirming the parties in this agreement on this point with explicit reference to why the Office of Inspector General is removed." The Medicaid provider makes abundantly clear in their responses that they will bear no responsibility for making the payment Governor DeSantis directed them to make to Hope, Florida. John Gard has been nominated by President Trump to serve in the federal judiciary. I know Mr. Gard, he's objectively brilliant, but he hasn't been confirmed, and his involvement in the Hope, Florida scandal as a prior employee of the Florida Attorney General may have something to do with it. John Gard sends an email to the agency under Governor DeSantis saying, quote, "I get that they negotiated this in every other state with the AG, but they are negotiating this agreement with ACA." Now, that's the agency run by DeSantis. And this is going to have to look slightly different. That demand to look slightly different is a demand to pay off DeSantis' wife's charity. It's not governing, it's thuggery. It's important to note, none of this money taken by the DeSantises was used personally for them. We found the claims to that effect unfounded thus far. But what they did do is take that money that should have gone to the Medicaid program, and through a series of shady financial transactions, they spent the money on political ads to defeat a voter ballot initiative. And the current Attorney General of Florida, who has never won an election in his own right and who managed the DeSantis failed presidential campaign to defeat, told us that they ordered the code red, and we should be grateful.
These other nonprofit organizations that have helped, against the Amendment 3 effort, we should be thankful to them, to all of them. They stepped up in a big way, and because of that, we won.
Such a shakedown. That's what makes this language in a draft settlement so interesting. The DeSantis-run Agency for Healthcare Administration tried to dump this clause into the settlement agreement. Whereas the Agency for Healthcare Administration's pending contracts with managed care plans under the statewide managed care program contemplate an expanded role for Hope, Florida in the Medicaid program, pursuant to which managed care plans will be required to collaborate with Hope, Florida's Pathways to Prosperity program to enable eligible Medicaid recipients to gain education, job, and life skills to achieve independence. Okay. How lovely. But it is so deeply deceptive. DeSantis was trying to tell Centene that the money that Centene was going to pay Casey DeSantis' charity was going to go help people get skills, be independent, get off Medicaid. But that never happened with this money. In fact, the money was just spent on political ads routed through the political committee of the current Attorney General, James Uthmeier. And it's no surprise that DeSantis and Uthmeier used Casey's charity because it's basically a shell company with no real accounting or organization where there's a sense of what funds are coming in or going out. And that's not my claim. That is the claim of Joshua Hay, the chairman of Hope, Florida.
Department has no knowledge, to my understanding, that money was coming into the organizations. I cannot confirm what the funds were used for. No, we have no monitoring procedures. We have no staff. I'm chairing the volunteer capacity.
Whenever we post these online, the whole DeSantis troll machine goes crazy. And I'm not a DeSantis hater. I was Ron DeSantis' top surrogate in his 2018 campaign for governor. He asked me to be the chairman of his transition, and I was, proudly. If Ron DeSantis could run for governor again, I'd probably vote for him again. But that doesn't mean that a governor, even a governor we like, should be able to leverage the power of the state to force a payoff to his wife's charity just to launder that money to his current attorney general to run political ads. Even people we like shouldn't be able to do that.